800-951-0592. A quick look here at the markets. The Dow is down 225 points. The S&P's down 13. The Nasdaq's up 12. Gold's down 16. Silver's down 40 cents. Oil's down. Bonds are up. Crypto back below 27,000 as Home Depot and retail sales disappointed everywhere. And if you want to look at a place to put your money, if you're like, listening to Bubba Horowitz and this debt ceiling nonsense and taxes and everything else, check out our friends at YRefi. Now, you got to have at least $50,000, but it's not correlated to the stock market. Doesn't care about retail sales. Doesn't care about Jay Powell and the policy mistakes and the fraudulent money. Up to 10.25% returns. That's YRefi.com. The word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com, or call them at 888-YRefi24. Now, I want to get back to Bubba Horowitz because this next part may be the more important part. So debt ceiling, last minute, they're going to save the day. By the way, higher taxes coming. Central bank digital currency, it's fraudulent. We should never give them this power. They're going to do it anyway. And oh, by the way, it's coming a lot sooner than people think. Now let's hear about what he thinks about interest rates, Wall Street, and gold. Jack, let's play the next part.
Samsung Electronics is now partnering with the Bank of Korea. They've joined forces to spearhead research and innovation in offline central bank digital currency technology. So isn't it just interesting how everyone's just jumping in the central bank digital currency conversation? But when just a few years ago it was considered a conspiracy theory, just your thoughts and take on this.
Well, again, big companies are there to make as much as they can and do what they can to become in favor. When we look at the entire economy of the United States right now, we're this far from being total socialists or communists right now. We're working our way so much closer because you've got these big companies and you've destroyed small business, you've destroyed competition. So without competition to the currency, and what you've seen is a fraudulent fiat currency system, you've got these big companies now figuring out ways that they get the benefit off of this new technology. And I think that's, again, these are all things that have been planned and put together. You can go back to the deep state and look at what they've been planning for years.
I want to also bring up a recent article quoting billionaire hedge fund manager Paul Tudor Jones, who believes the Fed has finished raising interest rates in its fight against inflation and the stock market could grind higher this year. Now, since I spoke to you, we saw the latest CPI numbers. Inflation keeps cooling, apparently. Jones says, I definitely think they are done. They could probably declare victory now because if you look at CPI, it's been declining 12 straight months. That's never happened before in history. Have you changed your mind at all? Because I know you said last time you think the Fed's just going to keep raising rates here.
Look, I have a lot of respect for Paul Tudor Jones, but if you consider inflation cooling, you're a mom, you go shopping, if your grocery bills come down, if your gas bills come down,
I don't think it's cooling at all.
So,
I don't think it's cooling whatsoever.
This is the problem with these so-called experts that have a voice. The Fed is going to continue to hike. I still say that the 10-year notes are getting to 6%. Okay, I don't think the Fed is done. I don't think anything, unless the banks collapse again, then they'll be forced to go back and do the same routine again. And who pays for that? Again, we go back to the American taxpayer. To me, it's a crock. To me, the inflation is worse than it's been, and it's only going higher. And now, guess what? We get to go into driving season where gas prices get to go higher, and don't be surprised if we see another cut from Saudi Arabia and the geniuses at OPEC, who are basically gangsters and criminals.
So 2 last thoughts, because I know you were sticking to gold going higher. But if the Fed keeps raising rates, do you still see gold marching higher?
I do. Again, for some of the reasons we talked about earlier, which is some states are looking at now, I think people are going to start to pull away from what's going on here. You're starting to see more concern with how the economy is being run. You're seeing more concern with what we're doing here. So I do see gold. Again, I see new highs for this year. I mean, I'm not going to make some ridiculous calls, but it wouldn't surprise me if we saw 2,400 this year.
And equities, last time we were on, you still were talking 50 or 70% correction in equities?
I haven't changed. Now, again, it doesn't mean it has to be this year. It's from, my call goes back to from the beginning of 2022, before this sell-off is done, and we have not seen a dramatic rally. We've seen the markets up a little bit. If you take away some of the AA stocks, we're actually down. I think before it's done, the S&P will be under 2,000. Okay. The Dow will be under 20,000. That's my take.
Wow. Interesting take from Bubba Horowitz. I'll call him in the Jason camp, right? Hey, inflation ain't going down. That's not happening. Again, remember, he's a huge commodities trader. Obviously, I think he already knows his sources inside of OPEC have probably told him, hey, we're cutting when driving season comes upon us. And you may have some inside information in that regard. The 10-year note at 6%? I can't even imagine that. I mean, right now the 10-year note's at like 3.5%. I mean, really hard to imagine, and he's right. Listen, if the Fed keeps raising rates, more banks are going to collapse. There's just no doubt about it. And of course, when you think about his calls, listen, just to give you, he said the S&P below 2,000. It's 4,100 right now. The Dow below 23,000, right? Or I'm sorry, below 20,000, right? The Dow's at 33,000 right now. Jason, this is a pretty significant differential, if you will, between Tudor Jones and Bubba Horowitz here, and I think that's where a lot of people are, right? Half of them are like, hey, let's do what we always did, right? And I think Tudor Jones has the other side of it, which is, well, we've done debt and money creation for 50 years, so let's go higher. And Bubba Horowitz is saying, listen, the cat's out of the barn. We've got trouble. Inflation isn't going away. The opposite is going to happen.
Yeah, and the timing of it is the hardest part. I actually agree with all of his predictions. The timing is difficult to determine. I wouldn't be surprised if this stuff grinds on slowly, Joe, all the way through next year, and it gets to hit his market numbers and his gold numbers. I could see it. I mean, gold could go to 2,500 this year, I guess. I could see that, but it seems to me, it just tickles the back of my head a little bit, but 2025, after the new president takes place, whether it be a re-election or Trump or whatever, sure seems like that's the year that they really want to crash it. You can crash it on a Republican, but it could happen next year, Joe. Well, it's just hard. I think he's right. I just don't know about the timing. That's the hardest part to predict.
That's always the hardest part. When we get back, 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason. And I just got a private email from the largest wholesaler in the world. I feel pretty cool because it was just to me, because he knows who we are. We know who they are. We deal with them every day. And he offered me an opportunity, and I'm going to pass this on. You know what? I'm redoing the $20 gold special from today. Simple. Here's my redo. 1 through 49, $2,375. So that's $20 less than when I started the show. You buy 50 or more, $23.50. If you buy 50 or more at 800-951-0592. Believe me, I think this is a huge opportunity. If whatever means you have, add to your portfolio if you can do it today. Buy these dips and buy them hard because they are not going to last. The Treasury Department, the debt ceiling, here we are, is what, the 16th. Janet Yellen is saying that as early as June, they will be out of money. So we're going to need a deal sooner than later. McCarthy just came out, said they're nowhere close. Here we go, right? Ratchet it up. But bigger news. Interest on the debt has now taken out defense spending. It is now number 3. The problem is it looks like it's soon to be number 2. So number 1, the government spends the most money on Social Security, about $1.25 billion, trillion. 1.25 trillion. Now, we know that number's going up, right? Because what was the COLA? 8.5 or 9.5% for 2023. So, okay, we know that number for this is going to be like 1.5 trillion. Medicare, Medicaid, they call it health care. $909 billion. Interest on the debt. These were 2022 numbers, okay? So think about this. The Fed has hiked, 4 or 5 more times since then?
Yep.
Interest on the debt in 2022, $813 billion. It looks like there's a very good chance 2023 interest on the debt will be the second biggest line item in the federal government. We could hit that $1 trillion number. And if Bubba Horowitz is right, we go, you're talking about a 6% 10-year note. Jason, we could be talking about interest on the debt being the most expensive line item it won't do it in 2023, but could be the most expensive line item of the budget by 2024.
Oh, it's definitely headed there. It's been on a path towards that for years, Joe. It's on its way, and people need to understand, because when we talk and everyone prognosticates the Fed, the Fed is a private company. Bubba was mentioning that. We've mentioned it many times. They are not here to help the government or the citizens get whatever they need. They say that, well, we're going to help. We're going to do what help. They do what it takes to enrich and empower themselves. That is plain and simple. That's what a private entity always does. And whatever emergency economically or politically or geopolitically is going to happen, that's going to be their escape route to the blame of what's going to happen. So, Joe, I really think that the digital currency, they got to make things so horrible and so bad so that when they reverse course to print money again, whenever they decide to do this whole one more time to print money, they're gonna disguise it as the digital currency is gonna fix everything. Hey, everything is gonna. And how bad? Here's the thing, Joe. How bad can they make it? They can make it as bad as they want. They can keep raising the rates. Yeah. Bubba Horowitz could be completely right. Just keep on raising the rates, because that will make it very, very hard on everybody. They have to make such an emergency, because nobody wants this digital currency. They saw Nigeria. Nigeria ran the experiment. Nigerians didn't want the government digital currency. They wanted Bitcoin. They've been doing all the experiments. So they need to create a situation where when you go through a car wash, the worst thing you want to do is run it through water. You don't want water. So let's say you come out of the car wash and there's a hose shooting water. Everybody's going to avoid that hose. They just got their car washed, right? So how does the Fed, who's shooting, they want you to go under the hose. They want you to get your car wet again. How can they get the guy that just got their car washed to go under the hose? Your car's on fire as soon as you get out of the car wash. I think that's really what they want to do, Joe. They want to make sure your car is on fire. Yeah, you got your car washed, but now the car's on fire. You might as well go under the hose and get that fire put out. And they're going to cause the whole thing. Like I said, anything's on the table. Anything's on the table.
I'm going to tell you right. We've talked about the box. Jason and I have been talking about it for the last several years. There's no good outcome here. There really isn't. Right? Pause and deal with inflation. Don't pause, right, and continue to fight the inflation, deal with the collapse. They both lead to collapse. That's really the biggest problem in all of this. And I just saw, headline just breaking. This makes me really nervous. Jamie Dimon it is unlikely that J.P. Morgan will buy any more struggling banks. That's not, I view that's weird. Why? First of all, why would you say it? Right? And secondly, what does that mean in all of this, right? If we got more if Bubba, they keep raising rates and more banks are going to go under what J.P. Morgan says we're not going to help, it's just a weird statement to make, isn't it?
He was just saying that the banking industry was solid last week. Last week, Jamie Devitt said the banking industry is
Your car's
solid.
on fire! Your car's on fire! That's what he's telling you.
Yeah.
800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason wrapping it up here on this Tuesday. And if you're just joining us, the special has gotten better from the beginning of the show to now. $20 gold. $20 gold pieces. There's 135. So 135 of these remaining. 1 through 49, $2,375, 50 or more, $2,350. I mean, you're talking about from Friday, if you buy 50 or more today, that's $150 less than Friday. Just really incredible. Even 1 through 49, I mean, you're still talking $125 less than what it was on Friday. 800-951-0592. The market's getting rocked here. The big Home Depot. Retail sales, I'm not surprised that they're as light as they were. Home Depot's kind of the shocker because they know how to run their business. This is the first miss on earnings for Home Depot since 2016. The first time they are saying that same store sales have declined since 2009. The problem is, Jason, Home Depot saying the decline in sales is getting worse, not better.
Yeah, well, like I said, too many employee powwows going on at the Home Depot. I just, when you have the employees kind of standing in a circle talking and not a lot of customers to attend to, that's not a good thing. And like you said, these employers, the middle management doesn't want to get rid of employees because of the problems they had in 2020, 2021, and that's just costing these companies even more money. So it's, Joe, I don't know a lot of people that are going to want to do a lot of home improvement here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, well, and again, I think that's with home sales, because this is how it goes. We all know this. Flippers, right? Hey, I'm going to buy the rundown house and fix it up. Where do you go? Home Depot. Well, not a lot of flipping going on. Matter of fact, they're now saying that 1 in 6 or 1 in 7 flips is losing money. My guess is that number is going to continue to escalate. And then the other side of it, most people aren't moving. Hey, I got a 3%, 4% mortgage. I'm not going anywhere. And that again, usually when people buy a home, even if they're not, hey, I'm not doing a full-blown rebound, but I'm going to buy new drapes, I'm going to buy new window coverings, right? Maybe I'm going to update some a bathroom or something like that. None of that's going to happen right now. So again, it seems logical to me what's happening with Home Depot, Lowe's, but the worst part is Nike is warning, 3M. Target now is saying, hey, by the way, we're hoping people buy more food from us because it looks like the apparel's slowing down. And again, looking at credit cards, right? When you're not paying off your credit card at the end of the month, you're probably not buying a lot of extra stuff.
If you're a house flipper, Joe, a lot of house flippers use debt, and that's a part of, that the interest on that debt that they're paying is a part of their, expenses.
Carrying costs just cost more, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and how do you make that $4,000? Yeah, how do you make $4,000 on a flipped house if you eat up, $3,500 or even more than that on the interest on the debt that you for holding the house for, let's say, 3 months? It's very expensive, and of course the inflation doesn't help a flipper either, does it, Joe?
No, absolutely not. 800-951-0592. $20 gold pieces, 1 through 9, 2,370, 1 through 49, $2,375, 50 or more, $2,350 at 800-951-0592. Jason and I are coming right back with the half-empty cup. We're going to have Steve Stars joining us, so stay with us.